Hey everyone, what's going on? So there's a little something I wanted to talk about. I haven't really touched on it throughout this channel, so I figured I'd discuss it here, right? CE5 is, it's a pretty big deal. We're talking about individuals, people, groups going out, initiating contact with extraterrestrials. So that's a big deal. On the other hand, we have ufology, which is the study of UFOs, which has been around for decades, since, I guess you would say, the 1940s, really, when flying saucers emerged, ufology began. So, from then, there's been stories of contactees, experiencers, that kind of thing, which is all included basically for the most part in ufology. It's discussed, it's okay to talk about. And now, with the emergence of the 1990s, you have CE5, which was a term coined by Dr. Stephen Greer, and that describes a close encounter of the fifth kind, which is, for the most part, a human-initiated contact. There are degrees of it where the contact is initiated by the extraterrestrials or UFO, and then the human responds. So there are different degrees. The first degree, I am pretty sure, is a human-initiated, and the second would be a UFO or a craft is seen, and then the human interacts with the craft that's happenstance to be there. But getting back to CE5 and ufology, this CE5, you're talking about individuals making contact, initiating contact, producing UFO sightings. How is that not such a big deal that it's included in ufology in such a way where all those other things are? It's, for the most part, yeah, I guess, if people don't know, CE5 is basically blacklisted from ufology. Every now and again, here and there might be a ufology conference where CE5 is briefly mentioned, and a lot of times if it is, it's not even called CE5. But for the most part, it is completely neglected. And you're talking about something here that is probably one of the most important things to have happened in the field of what people call ufology. If you're able to first person directly engage with this intelligence that is allegedly being studied by ufologists, how is that not one of the most important things? Not even how is that one of the most important things? How is that completely overlooked by mainstream ufology? Because that's what it is nowadays. It's mainstream ufology. Because, and I liken that to the fact that just as there is a mainstream ufology and a mainstream media, and the irony here is that ufology is blacklisted from the mainstream media, but guess what? CE5 is blacklisted from ufology. So you have all these ufologists, complaining, the mainstream media completely blacks us out and laughs us off. Well, guess what ufologists do? They do that to CE5. For the most part, not everybody, obviously. I can't make a general blanket statement like that. But what I'm trying to get at is the main point here. And you have major ufologists, which you know who they are, they know who they are, that completely ignore CE5. And that partially may be due to a stigma that may happen to be attached to individuals involved with CE5. But how could you completely ignore that entire phenomena when it is one of the most important things to happen in the said field of ufology, which is supposed to be studying a phenomena? Well, here with CE5, you have a means in which to produce a UFO sighting or encounter and study it, interact with the intelligence itself, engage it, record it, whatever, and it's being completely ignored. And maybe that's due to some of the ideas and concepts that are relative or that may be attached to CE5 in general, which have to do with consciousness and higher aspects of consciousness and meditation. So I can see people maybe kind of looking at it in a cult or mystic way or mysticism, but if you have, time and time and time again, a method of doing something, and you have repeatable, physical, observable results, that simply just can't be ignored. That's just, to ignore it would be complete ignorance, and you have to question as to why these people are blatantly ignoring such an important thing. I really wonder at times how any of these mainstream ufologists could completely ignore something as important and blatant as CE5. I really question what's going on there, because it makes no sense, to be honest. I can go on a whole another rant and ramble about this, but I think that's enough for now. So these are things to think about, right? CE5 and ufology. Why is CE5 completely blacklisted and black marketed from the UFO mainstream and subjugated to the ufology underground as if it's something that's not too important, or that's something that can really just be overlooked, when you're talking about something that's so innovative, so interactive, and completely repeatable, which have been done by thousands of people now, tens of thousands by now for sure. It's beyond me. So that's my little rant on that. I actually have written a paper about it, which I will be releasing soon. So look out for that. Thanks for listening. Think about those things.